said, that's Putin's talking points. And I said, what part of that's not true? And he said, oh, it's true, but it's still Putin's talking points. You hear things straight out of the mouth of so many of these leaders, and yet you're called a conspiracy theorist for believing what they tell you they're doing. So Chris Murphy, who's a big Ukraine hawk, right, criticizing Trump, he's one of the people spearheading a senator. In 2014, he's on C-SPAN, and he's saying, yes, of course, we think the U.S. isn't just standing this out when it comes to the Maidan revolution. We think that our sanctions and our actions in part's what led to the revolution. And we've been on the ground, and we've had sanctions, and we're going to help the new transition government. But Rob, he didn't say that was the only reason. Right, let me explain how this works everywhere. The worse off, the more corrupt a country is, or the less first world that it is, you're going to have huge portions of that population that aren't ideologically captured by the leadership. In other words, they might not be the biggest fans. That doesn't mean that that group will win, but if you, like our CIA did for years, and now we ship out to USAID and NGOs, if you strategically foment political ideas, cultural ideas, you get some judges that you're paying to win election, some entertainers, some cultural figures, you give money to the right NGOs that's got people on the ground, you could change the direction of a country and who wins an election. When you talk about color revolutions, people assume you're like, oh, so there were 100% of the people liked Yanukovych, and then the CIA forced everyone to vote for Poroshenko. No. How many people liked Biden? What was Biden's approval rating? Hell, what's Trump's approval rating right now? 50%, right? If you believe the numbers. What's Congress's approval rating? 20-something? Yet they're still winning elections. So if you strategically got... By the way, the Democrats know this, which is funny, because they used to bitch about money in elections all the time. Now they're doing it again. Since they went from all the big money, or most of the big money supporting Hillary and then Biden, they were all cool with the money then. Now it's back to, oh, Elon Musk, money in elections. But if they know that you're able to convince people if you're putting enough money in, well, what do you think that happens when USAID is throwing tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars in NGOs for the purpose of influencing votes, elections, etc.? But I was told that's a conspiracy theory. The United States had nothing to do with the Maidan Revolution. We were just sitting back on our hands going, oh, isn't that interesting? That's interesting. Yes, it fits the playbook of all the other revolutions that are similar that we know that the United States had a hand in. But that one, they were like, no, we did nothing. We didn't do anything. No, it didn't matter anyways if the U.S. did or didn't. From the perspective of, would this piss Russia off? One, they'd be pissed anyways, even if no one in the West ever did anything, because they're losing one of their greatest allies that's now allying themselves and basically with their arch rival, the United States. But it was worse than that, because even if the United States didn't engage in a color revolution, they basically made Ukraine their vassal state. Let's do a couple thought experiments. Let's say that the government of Canada has elections coming up, and China throws hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars in to backing the political party that ends up winning, and then basically hands over control of their court systems, so much of their foreign policy, etc., to China. And then there's biolabs that are right in the border of the United States, and China starts like, you know what, maybe we'll put some weapons here and whatever. I think the United States would feel about that. Probably not too good. They probably wouldn't be too happy. Let's take it a step back, though. Let's say that China doesn't send that money, but Canada holds elections and the new party gets in, and they basically say, hey, China, we want to be your vassal state. Come help us. We need help. China says, okay, sure. I think the United States would feel about that. Think we'd feel comfortable? Literally Russian talking points. Iran supposedly had assassination squads to take out Trump. Every time you say that Trump's policies are Russian talking points, you're spreading Iranian talking points. You're literally cheering for the people that tried to assassinate Donald Trump. You're spewing their talking points. That's what you're doing right now. You're spewing Iranian talking points that tried to assassinate our president. It's disgusting. Disgusting. Why would you do that? That's a stupid point. That's stupid. That's stupid. That's Russian talking points. Right. We saw what happened with the Cuban Missile Crisis. You're spewing Iranian propagandist talking points by saying that people that are sticking up for Trump's plans are spewing Russian talking points. We don't like people that spew Iranian talking points here, so see you later. You take an hour time out. Don't like those talking points. And you see, isn't it the same as COVID? Every time you hear someone say, you're just spreading Putin's talking points, just insert this. What do you want, grandma to die? Same thing. When they wanted you locked down, when they wanted to force you vaccinated, when they wanted to take your children away if you weren't vaccinated. And you were like, but wait a minute, I have questions about this. And they said, what, do you want grandma to die? Same thing. That's Putin's talking points. I remember when the last time I debated I'm Really Important, and I was like, well, there actually are these biolabs in Ukraine. And he said, that's Putin's talking points. And I said, what part of that's not true? And he said, oh, it's true, but it's still Putin's talking points. So if Putin comes out tomorrow and says, actually, we want a world of peace, and then Zelensky says, I want a world of peace, are we all in agreement? That's Zelensky spreading Putin's talking points. That's what Putin says. Putin's talking points. But it's a big conspiracy theory that the United States had everything to do with that, even though we could see not just Chris Murphy, but you have other people in real time that were talking about being involved in Ukraine, like John McCain, Victoria Nuland, etc. I don't know what the argument against this Chris Murphy clip will be. He was talking out his ass. He was lying.
I think it was our role, including sanctions and threats of sanctions, that forced, in part, Yanukovych from office. Now, the question is, what can we do to support this new government? There's going to be a lot of talk about an assistance package. With respect to Ukraine, we have not sat on the sidelines. We have been very much involved. Members of the Senate who have been there, members of the State Department who have been on the square. The Obama administration passed sanctions. The Senate was prepared to pass its own set of sanctions. And as I said, I really think that the clear position of the United States has in part been what has helped lead to this change in regime.
And they're gleeful. There's another clip from some expert on the Colbert Report back in 2014. And he's so chipper. Oh, this revolution's going in the United States. Their goals is like pretend they're not giddy and try to distract Russia while this goes on and blah, 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 blah. It was like when I talked to Dylan Burns about Syria and about us bombing Assad in Syria. And I was like, don't you think this is going to piss Russia off? Who cares? Okay. Now that's all they talk about. Whoops. Turns out Russia cared. Remember when Biden said, if Russia invades, we're going to take care of that Nord Stream pipeline. Remember when he said that? And then the Nord Stream pipeline blew up. And the Biden administration's argument for real was Russia blew up their own pipeline. They literally said, if Russia invades, we're going to take care of that pipeline. Russia invades, pipeline gets taken care of, and the Biden administration's like, yeah, it was Russia. They blew it up. And if you were like, yeah, I don't think that was Russia. I don't think they would self-sabotage like that. Sounds like this was the West, like NATO working with Ukraine. Sounds like they did it. United States working with Ukraine. And what did they say when you said that? That's Russian talking points. Peter Zayan, who's like probably getting paid handsomely by USAID or the CIA. Interesting guy. I like he's smart, but he's certainly parroting the lines from our intel community. I watched him a year and a half ago say, okay, so the way that Ukraine wins is they have to cause a mass casualty event inside of Russia. That's what they need to do. And he was like, the way they do it is there's this dam, and this dam provides so much of the water for the fields that end up going for the crops of Russians. And if that dam got blown up, it would literally cause the starvation or potential starvation of all of these Russians. Okay? Hey man, all's fair in love and war. From the perspective of Ukraine, you got to do what you got to do. I'm not begrudging that. But then that dam got blown up. So did Peter Zayan say, oh, okay, Ukraine did? No, he was like, it was the Russians. Wait a minute. So Russia's so dumb, they literally took the one action you said would cause them to lose. That's what they did. That's a conspiracy theory to think that maybe Ukraine did it. What? They just blatantly tell you, yeah, we're helping lead this revolution. We're putting sanctions, and without us, we don't know that it would have worked. And we're working with the people we want to work with the government that's coming in. That's a conspiracy theory to say that happened. Yeah, we're going to take out that pipeline if Russia invades. That's a conspiracy theory to say that happened. Yeah, you know, Ukraine should really blow up that dam. That would really harm Russia. That's a conspiracy theory to say that Ukraine would do that. How many times are we going to put up with this bullshit? Where's your proof? Do you got a written statement from the CIA saying, yeah, we did this? Do you got that? Do you got Zelensky on tape saying, yeah, we blew up the dam? Then I guess it didn't happen. Institutionalists. That's what these people are. Unless there's an admission by the people in charge. Even if there's an admission, yeah, like literally, this could happen tomorrow. Like Zelensky could come out and say, or we'll say Starmer in the UK could come out and say, yeah, we're gonna blow up an airbase in Russia. We're gonna do that. Like this month. And then that airbase could get blown up in Russia, and they would look you straight in the eyes and go, we didn't do that. And that's Putin's talking points to say that we did. How dare you suggest? But you said you were going to do it. How dare you? Why spreading, what are you, pro-genocide? We need to stand with Ukraine. And you're spreading Putin's talking points. It has all the hallmarks of a Russian attack, right? They did it themselves to garner sympathy. That's what happened. How dare you accuse us?